Welcome back to a long overdue episode of the New Jersey High School Strength Coaches Podcast. I'm with my bro, Paul Collodi, Huntington Central Regional High School strength and conditioning coach, partner in crime for the NHS SCA New Jersey State, and also a former employee, Tony Soprano. But hey, yeah, hey, listen, I don't ask questions because I don't need you taking me for a ride, let's go for a ride.
We already went for a ride. We went to Carolina,
which was amazing. And I don't think I've been updating like our audios from our podcast. I put it up on YouTube. I gotta make sure the audio gets out there because I know strength coaches love to hear about it on their way to work. But let's talk about a couple things real quick, Paul. Housekeeping. Number one, New Jersey NHSCA State Clinic coming up. The date is March 15th, which is a Friday. So coaches, teachers, make sure you take your professional day, put in for it. It's going to be an amazing experience. On that Friday, also, Paul, they have to park across the street.
Yeah, at Costco. So Costco's it's a 9-iron from my door. So we'll pin where the parking is, and you'll just walk across the street, and there'll be people there. There'll be signs where you should come in, and it's going to be a great day.
We're also going to have a little bit of a different flow this time, where each presenter will give you an opportunity to learn hands-on. One of those presenters is Steve Baer, who does weightlifting, aka Olympic lifting, at his school. And a lot of coaches want to teach how to clean, how to snatch. Steve is going to teach how to do it safely, how to do it properly, how to do it effectively. And that being said, I actually just put out a video, Paul, on people I think sometimes just are dying for attention online. So they make these videos that say either or. And this is why we don't do power cleans. And I say it depends. There's a lot of gray area. I teach power cleans at the Underground Strength Gym for well over a decade, hang power clean predominantly. At my high school, I teach it to the athletes who are consistent, who move well, who are great at front squats, and who show emotionally that they're ready to learn. I don't teach it to teams and athletes who are inconsistent, only train in season. And so I don't have a black and white stance on it. I have a gray area. And I know you teach cleans. You and I teach a lot of, I always say we don't discriminate against the many ways to get strong.
No, and you said the word consistent. You said inconsistent, but they got to be consistent. There's got to be a thread of that every day for them to get better. It's like any other skill, like shooting a foul shot or swinging a baseball, hitting a baseball. They need to practice. So it's an explosive coming out of a hinge. It's an explosive, upright row. It's learning how to catch on your shoulders. I mean, that's for some kids. That's the hardest part is
impact.
Trusting that back position. Even though you front squat. It's not a traditional front squat. It is, but it's not, because you're not taking it off the bar. You're taking it from an explosive, very violent movement to right onto your shoulders. And, kids that are athletic and consistent are the ones who get it earlier. But I'm not saying that those other kids can't. It just takes a little bit more time.
Yeah. We've got at the Underground, we have middle school kids learning how to clean, but we've taught them how to front squat. They get great at front squatting. And then we teach them how to hang power clean. And they learn it very quickly. They learn with the empty bar. We do not teach it with PVC pipe. Doesn't work that way. I love the athleticism behind it. I don't use it as Louis Simmons describes it as a speed strength movement. Some of our athletes who get very skilled, they could go heavy on it. They learn how to hook grip. They learn how to catch it low. But I remember a long time ago communicating with Travis Mash on this, and he said, listen, I don't really like to teach the full clean to athletes, just because it could be dangerous if they catch it with the elbows low. But then you could speak to other coaches who are also high skilled weightlifting coaches. And some of them say, we teach it and we go for it. And we teach all of the safety precautions. So if I have to dump the bar, so on and so forth. But I like to use it as a speed movement. And then I might progress into something heavier. But I love the athleticism. You know what else I love, Paul? Kids love it. They get excited about it. They feel powerful when they do it. And even though this is a high school strength coach podcast, I remember when I was at Rutgers, Coach Goody was like, man, I love it when we're picking up stuff off the floor. He's like, that makes me feel powerful. And so what does that sport tend to buy into? Just like baseball buys into rotation and arm care and core strength, what is running through the mind of the athletes with certain exercises? And so when people tell me, oh, I like med ball throw, listen, I love med ball throws, but it's not, again, either or. And then I explain throwing a 20 or 10-pound medicine ball is nothing like hang power cleaning 185 pounds. It's nothing. And why not do both? Unless you can't teach it, like my bro Jim Wendler, he's like, listen, I can't teach it. I'm not trying to learn it. And so they squat, bench, trap bar deadlift. They do a lot of jumps. They do a lot of sprints, so obviously your program is not, how do you say, like going to live or die based on hang power cleans.
Yeah. I mean, I learned from Leo Totten. That's who taught
Yes.
my USAW course at Jim McFarland's place in Hillsborough. And I'm with you. I have 15, 35, and 45 pound bars. Once we get to the clean itself, I like to use the bar. But for things, just to teach them to get under the bar, like we'll do movements with the not good. We'll do movements.
No, I'm good.
We'll do movements with the PVC pipe. And it's a snatch. It's a little bit different, but the drop below the bar is the same. So teaching them how to drop under the bar. So teaching them how to drop under the bar is kind of the same. It's getting their hips low. I think Mike Boyle says, you got to try and sit down in a couch under the bar. Sit in a couch under the bar. So many different cues you can use, and all the kids that walk into your room may need a little bit something different cue wise. But at the end of the day, the biggest thing I want them to understand is that the bar has to move fast. It's not a slow movement. Med balls, hey, the med ball has to move fast. If you want to be violent, you need to be able to move stuff fast. You need to be able to throw stuff with a little bit of intensity and violence. And we have the tools to do that. Med ball's a little safer because you're just having them throw it. But with the bar and everything else, once they become proficient and they're athletic and consistent, I think that it's one of the better things you can do.
Yeah. And the way to work on it, I believe it, when you believe in it, you'll probably be doing it yourself. But that being said, on the flip side, we also encourage coaches, just because you're doing something doesn't mean that's what the athletes need to do or should do. The other thing I love is that the changing of force, right? You're exploding vertically, you're hitting that shrug, that jump shrug, bar starts floating up, you transition under it. There's a lot of athleticism to that. Yep. So to me, the way I look at training athletes, when people ask me, what's your style, what's your program, overall athleticism. And that's why I love different training tools. That's why I love introductory gymnastics. Coach Ethan Reeve spoke to me about that stuff 20 years ago. And then there's that old Polish weightlifting video that was floating around the internet. I think it was filmed in the 70s or 80s. I could be wrong, but that weightlifting team was warming up with cross-country skiing, with kind of like full contact basketball, playing water polo, gymnastic drills, tumbling, dive rolls, walking on their hands. And you, I know, have that saying of make athletes athletic again.
Yeah. Make us athletic again. And I know he took some heat for it, but I think it was Rick Pitino for Red Storm, St. John's a couple of weeks ago. Said, my guys just don't move well. They're not athletic. They don't move well laterally. And some of that is recruiting. It may not have been his recruits, but, they're Division I basketball players. It's there. The DNA is there. They're great basketball players. And they may not be as athletic as everybody thinks they are. Like, again, they could do magical stuff with the basketball, but to react, and that's why we test reactive strength. We look at the bounce test on the plyo mat, and we look at how fast they can get on and off the ground and use that force from the ground. And if you listen to Tom Myers, he talks about super stiffness, that the greatest athletes in the world, when they put their foot in the ground, they can make their body stiff for that microsecond so they can use all the force. Bruce Lee, 1-inch punch, all of those things, that's athletic. But then the microsecond after they tighten up, they can relax so they can do all the stuff they do. I think Chris Corpus and Tony Holler were talking about that too when we were down in Charlotte.
Yeah, I mean, Louis Simmons even spoke about it. As much as people still hate on him, he would speak about the box squat of, you sit on the box, then you have to explode up. So you have to relax. He's like, it's similar to running, touch and go jumps. When I heard that statement from the St. John's basketball coach, I was thinking to myself, man, incorporate game speed into their warm-up, different kind of tag games, dodgeball. What does their strength and sports performance program look like? Do we see some heavy lifting coupled with contrast method, explosive jumping in various directions, maybe some isometrics and depth drops? What does the overall program look like? So when I hear a coach saying, hey, my athletes are not athletic, well, everything and every day is an assessment. The sport coach can communicate that to the strength coach, who can then say, okay, let me start incorporating more overall athleticism into the program. So it might be med ball throws from reactive positions, right? Could be could be like a skater jump and then jump back towards the wall, rotational throw. And warm-ups could be tag games, stuff that were done when we were kids in the 80s, because it teaches the body and the nervous system, the mind, how to be reactive, how to relax. And so, Mark Hoover said it very interestingly, is that you're a dinosaur if all of your training is just regulated to the weight room. You have to be able to think outside of the weight room to implement your training. And so, Paul, people sometimes say this, why would I squat when I don't put a bar on my back in the weight room? Well, I train wrestlers and I utilize sprinting to improve leg power and power endurance and overall conditioning, but they don't sprint in the wrestling match. I would utilize swimming for the upper weights in college for their GPP training to raise their level of fitness, because I don't want to send them out on distance running or the amount of running that a lightweight could do. But a wrestler doesn't swim, but I will utilize swimming as another form of conditioning. So sometimes coaches get very close-minded. They get offended when there's another way to do something. But I look at it as just be open-minded. It's okay to evolve.
Yeah, I think the overall thought process is you got to change completely. And I'm a don't throw the baby out with the bathwater type of guy. You can still keep a lot of the stuff you're doing. Just find ways to use those new tools in your progressions, into your program, into your process. I'm going to be the first to say it here. If you watch some of Kurt Hester stuff, his guys are going to be ultimately athletic.
Yes.
You see some of the stuff they're doing. Yeah, watch out for University of Houston football next 1 or 2 years. Heck, it may be next year. But if they got the dudes, man, they're doing stuff now. Their guys are going to be flying all over the field.
And check out this about Kurt. Kurt, I think, is 62, but Kurt grew up in the 70s in the bayou of Louisiana. He was trained by Gail Hatch, the OG of weightlifting. And he was, raised to go out and literally hunt alligators. So he's a redneck who is, I would say he's like but he evolves with all of that. I actually stole something from him. I saw the guys wrestling with a medicine ball, or they may have had another object.
Yep.
I had our linemen doing that, and to see the isometric strength and the hip power that they used, it was awesome. So I'm wondering, is there anything you picked up from him that you have implemented into your program recently?
Well, the more of that is from Andrew Island. It's called Prep for Contact.
That's right.
So those ball drills, the wrist drills, try to move, touch your head. We do a lot of crawling and resisted crawling with the partner. We do the wheelbarrow stuff. And wheelbarrow, we do it without hands. The person doing the wheelbarrow has to squeeze their hips in order to do that. So it's not just walking on their hands, but they have to engage their core when they're doing it. But both Kurt and Kurt uses a lot of Andrew, and Andrew may actually talk to Kurt a lot. But yeah, to me, the kids are eating that up. We'll do that once a week. I should do it twice a week. We do it twice a week in the summertime when we can get a bigger space outdoors. But right now in the weight room, we do it once a week, and that's part of our warm up and our prep. And the kids love it. They get after it.
Yes, they do. And it also builds not just the physical tools, but a lot of people forget that contact prep is good or crucial for the emotional / psychological benefit of athletes who fear, the contact. So one thing I want to transition into here, Paul, is I just did some research. Speaking on Tuesday at NJ Aford, which is the state phys ed conference. And I was tweeting out, or I don't know, it's X. So I was like putting out comments, seeing what other strength coaches in high school have for their schedule outside of New Jersey. Those who are really succeeding, strength and conditioning is done during the day, during a physical education block. And if it is done before school as a block 0 or after school, there is a stipend involved. But the programs that are just after school miss a lot of kids. The last guy that responded on Twitter, I hate to say Twitter, on X, he is in Iowa, and he said they get 95% of their kids during the day. And so I'm going to, a couple guys here, North Carolina and South Carolina. South Carolina by day. Let's see here. Iowa, before school, after school, and summer is a stipend. And what they said is they have 4 classes during the day, 120 students total enrolled. So I guess that's 30 students in a class. It says this gets 95% of our athlete population. The other 5% we try to hit before or after school. And they have block scheduling, 5-minute warm up, 20 to 30 minutes of athlete movement. I'm sure that's a pretty broad statement. This is from Ben Hildebrandt. His X handle is at Small Town Speed, 30 minutes of weight room. So next year, I'm going to have my strength and conditioning class during one phys ed class. And what I'm going to do, Paul, is the beginning of class might be pickup basketball, ultimate frisbee, ultimate football. I might even do dodgeball with some gator balls and get the athletes moving. And if I feel like we're getting a little bit rusty with weight room activity, we might go to the local park and play tennis, or have some, go out on the mountain bikes, take a day outside of the weight room. But for the most part, what I'm trying to do is build that consistency and not have to wrestle with all the things happening after school that kids have. Work, do your parents get out of work to pick you up at 3 p.m.? That's not always the case, especially you live in you have a regional school. My school, the kids might live 5 minutes or 25 minutes away. It's not like the town I live in Manasquan, where my kids could all walk home or kids could ride bikes. In Manasquan, they have Monday through Thursday strength and conditioning during the day option during phys ed. We know Rumson Fairhaven does it during the day.
Yep.
Brick Memorial, a long time ago, my buddy told me they create programs for athletes. So they want the wrestlers to train year round. They create self-defense class and teach judo.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, or strength and conditioning, not even so much an option. I think the coach tells them, you got to do it. Jackson Memorial, strength and conditioning as an elective class. Southern Regional, strength and conditioning during physical education. So New Jersey, we have to really push to get that happening.
And I agree 100%. I disagree because of my situation, the way we have it, but if I could switch it where I can get the kids throughout the day and have that accountability and discipline, I think we could fill our classes 100%. I mean, Kevin Vanderbush does it out in Indiana. I just talked to Matt Cates the other day. It's all athletes, all student athletes in his classes. And, you know, he'll have 100 kids in his class. Now he has coaches that help him out. But you know, there's a lot of kids. Kevin Vanderbush, he's got, I want to say 10,000 square feet, and half of his room is set up for upper body. The other half is set up for lower body. So when the kids come in, they know that if their card is yellow, they're on the upper body side. If their card is blue, they're on the lower body side. And when they walk in every day, they get phys ed. They know where to go. And that's, you know, efficiency wise and accountability wise. The kids are getting grades, not just for being in the class. You know, if their 10-yard fly is going down, they're going to get a better grade. If their vertical jump is going up, and if they're not, we can kind of counsel them a little bit and say, let's check your nutrition, let's check your sleep, because everything we're doing here is what you need for that to happen. So is it their effort level? If it is, if your effort level in math is bad, what kind of grade do you get?
That's right.
Right? Yeah, you get a bad grade. So why not have physical education where you have, you know, those outcome based grades? Because, you know, we want our kids to be faster, stronger, look better, be more explosive, do all of those things. And why should it be any different than science and math and anything else? It's our body, you know?
Yeah. Mark Hoover says, listen, you know, guidance is able to create a schedule for kids in the band or in, I guess, the chorus, the choir, music. And so adding, it doesn't even have to be during phys ed. It could just be another elective class, but it should be as often as possible done during the day. But then there's, you know, a lot of other moving parts, Paul, like the school needs to have clean shower facilities for the kids so they could shower and practice proper hygiene when they're done. So a lot of moving parts to it. And I think, you know, not even judging, by listening to the feedback of coaches responding to my on Twitter, on X, they said everybody must be on board. Administration must be on board. Sport coaches must be on board. One of the coaches in South Carolina said, I will not encourage somebody to be a high school strength coach unless administration is making strength and conditioning mandatory, which means, if I could decipher that, he's saying, I'm not going to go to a school where I'm battling coaches for kids to show up. Because then you are a fish swimming upstream. So let's, you know, it's a little bit late. It's a Sunday. What's one cool thing you've been doing that you've added or adjusted in your program that you'd like to share with the other coaches out there that are training the athletes?
It's been the prep for contact with our soccer players, all our contact players. They've been eating that up tremendously. Also adding some deceleration to our flying running. So I have enough room for a 5-yard run in with a flying 10. And we've been doing some deceleration, some brake testing to see if now that 16, they all want the faster miles per hour coming out of that second gate. But is that 16 miles an hour allowing them to slow down to make their cut, make their brake, be more athletic? And if it's not, we may tell them, let's be a little more smooth through the gate so that you can make that stop and get out and do what you need to do. And kids are starting to figure that out. Now, as we're getting stronger, we're putting more time on the rack sides. They look smoother in their running. they're going faster, and their ability to stop is better. So now they're getting back to that 16 miles per hour like they were before, and they can make that break in and cut, where before they were just out of control. So seeing that and more importantly, letting the kids see that data has been really, really big.
You're the man. You have the data. At the Underground Strength Gym, whenever we do acceleration training, we always make them go into a deceleration stop for 3 seconds. And we show them you could do it staggered or you could do it kind of squared up. If you follow Joey Garasio, Florida Atlantic, they often do those different deceleration type stops.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw a little monkey wrench out there. The thing that I've been implementing more is working on my own kind of internal conversation, because I could get very, upset when athletes aren't showing up, coaches aren't supporting the program. So what I'm learning to do is really focus on the positive, focus on the kids that are showing up, and utilize the athletes to build the culture. I think when you as the coach try to lead the culture, it's no good. I keep empowering the kids, talking about, you shared this with me many years ago. We is greater than me. We, comma, not me. And so, hey guys, this is your team. Take a look at who's missing. Go get those athletes to show up. Let's turn this school into a powerhouse athletic program, not just a good enough program. And they're getting excited about that. This past Friday, we must have had like 60 athletes after school in one group. And I tell them, within the springtime or the winter, with all these vacation days, a Monday off, this day, that day, if we miss, you're Friday after school. So we had girls soccer, we had volleyball, we had extra football players. We had a lot of kids showing up. So it was a reminder to me, hey, this is a great place. Focus on, as a coach, you could easily get trapped up in what you don't have. Really focus on what you do have, focus on what you're building. You and I have a very often morning conversation going into the school. And I think that's important. I think also, like when we go to our state clinic this year, we're going to have breakout sessions in between speakers with different topics. And the goal of those breakout sessions is going to be to empower, educate, and really inspire the coaches of New Jersey to keep building our programs so we can start becoming the norm, with strength and conditioning being a school-wide program, not just, something that some of the athletes do.
Well, let's build it. I was out last night with some old high school friends, and one of them's the athletic director at Mendham, and they just completely redid their weight room based off of our talk and some of the conversation I've had with them. They switched a couple of rooms around. They have 8 racks, beautiful, the big M in the middle of the platforms. They put a small strip of turf in, and he says, next thing up, we're going to get a coach. So, they haven't done it yet. And he'll be talking to us. He's already got it on his agenda to be at our talk, and he'll be talking to us. So it's spreading, and some of the ADs are starting to realize, hey, maybe this is something that we really need. Maybe this is something that to help our culture, our process along the way. So, I think these little podcasts and all the stuff and all the places we pop up are really doing a good job.
I will link up the state clinic in the bottom of this YouTube video, as well as in the information section of the podcast. You and I are going to be speaking at the State Athletic Directors Conference about the importance and the power of having a qualified strength coach in your high school. NHS SCA has a high school strength coach certification. It's all online. And as a strength coach or anybody running the weight room, you have an obligation to improve your skills and to get as great as possible so you could coach the athletes as great as possible. It's very important that you're coaching, correcting, improving technique, making it a safe and effective place. And that's it. I think our state clinic this year is going to be awesome. Last year we had 75 coaches. It's going to be a Friday. Again, it's March 15th, 100 in Central High School. Get your professional day in, get your learn on, and make sure you stay for the whole event. A lot of coaches last year left during the last speaker so they could coach Friday afternoon. You do not want to miss any of the speakers. All right. So nhssca.us.us. If you're not a member, make sure you become a member. And again, the link to the state clinic is in this YouTube info as well as the audio. So talk to you guys soon. Follow Paul and I on Instagram. Hit us up with any questions you have. We're here to help and help New Jersey become a force in high school strength and conditioning. Paul, to be continued.
See you, brother.